On December 7, 1993, the Long Island Railroad (LIRR) train bound for Hicksville, New York, from Penn Station in Manhattan was the site of a horrific and deadly shooting spree that would become one of the most notorious mass shootings in U.S. history. Colin Ferguson, a troubled and mentally unstable Jamaican immigrant, opened fire on the crowded commuter train, killing 6 people and wounding 19 others. This tragedy not only devastated the lives of the victims and their families, but also sparked national debates on gun control, mental health, and public safety measures. Here is an in-depth examination of the event, its background, immediate aftermath, and long-lasting impact. Colin Ferguson, the path to violence. Colin Ferguson was born on January 14, 1958, in Kingston, Jamaica. His early life was marked by tragedy and instability. His father, a prominent pharmacist, died in a car accident in 1978, and his mother died from cancer soon after. These losses had a profound impact on Ferguson, who began exhibiting signs of mental illness, including paranoia and delusions. In 1982, Ferguson moved to the United States, initially living in California before relocating to New York in the early 1990s. Ferguson attended Adelphi University in Garden City, New York, where his erratic behavior and increasingly violent outbursts led to his suspension in 1991. Despite these warning signs, Ferguson was able to legally purchase a Ruger .80 9.9mm semi-automatic pistol in California in 1993. He believed that various groups, including law enforcement and society at large, were conspiring against him, and these paranoid delusions fueled his violent plans. The day of the shooting. On December 7, 1993, Ferguson boarded the 5:33 p.m. LIRR train at Penn Station. The train was packed with commuters heading home, and Ferguson chose the third car to carry out his attack. As the train approached the Merillon Avenue station in Garden City, Ferguson stood up, pulled out his pistol, and began firing at random passengers. The confined space of the train car turned into a chaotic scene of panic and horror. Ferguson moved methodically down the aisle, shooting passengers in their seats. Witnesses later described the sheer terror as they tried to duck for cover or escape. Ferguson reloaded his weapon at least once during the attack, ultimately firing approximately 30 rounds. The randomness of his targets added to the sense of fear and confusion, as people were unsure where to run or hide. Acts of heroism and immediate response. Amid the chaos, 3 brave passengers, Kevin Blum, Mark McEntee, and Michael O'Connor, acted decisively. As Ferguson attempted to reload his weapon for the second time, they tackled him to the ground, risking their lives to subdue the gunman and prevent further carnage. Their heroic actions were instrumental in stopping Ferguson and saving numerous lives. They held him down until law enforcement arrived and took him into custody. The immediate aftermath saw a swift response from emergency medical services, who rushed the wounded to nearby hospitals. The quick actions of first responders played a crucial role in saving lives and providing critical care to the injured. The scene at the Merillon Avenue station was one of controlled chaos as police, paramedics, and firefighters worked together to manage the situation and assist the victims. The legal battle and Ferguson's defense. Colin Ferguson's trial became a media spectacle due to his decision to represent himself in court. This led to a series of bizarre and disturbing courtroom scenes, where Ferguson cross-examined his own victims and attempted to argue that he was not the shooter. He claimed that someone else had used his gun and framed him for the crime. Despite his erratic behavior and implausible defense, the trial proceeded under intense public scrutiny. The prosecution presented overwhelming evidence against Ferguson, including eyewitness testimonies and forensic analysis that conclusively linked him to the shooting. The courtroom testimonies from the survivors were particularly powerful, painting a vivid picture of the horror they experienced. On February 17, 1995, after a trial that captivated the nation, Ferguson was found guilty of 6 counts of murder and 19 counts of attempted murder. The judge sentenced him to 315 years and 8 months to life in prison, ensuring that he would never be released. Impact on gun control and mental health policy. The 1993 LIRR shooting had a profound impact on public policy and societal attitudes towards gun control and mental health. The incident highlighted significant gaps in the U.S. gun control system, particularly the ease with which individuals with documented mental health issues could obtain firearms. The Brady Handgun Violence Prevention Act, which mandated background checks for firearm purchases from licensed dealers, had been signed into law just days before the shooting. However, the incident underscored the need for more comprehensive reforms, including closing loopholes and expanding background checks to cover private sales and gun shows. The shooting also brought attention to the shortcomings of the mental health system in identifying and treating individuals who pose a danger to themselves and others. There were calls for better screening, increased funding for mental health services, and improved coordination between law enforcement and mental health professionals. The goal was to prevent individuals like Ferguson from falling through the cracks and carrying out acts of violence. Advocacy and legislative efforts. Among the victims' families, several became vocal advocates for gun control and mental health reform. One of the most prominent voices was Carolyn McCarthy, whose husband was killed and son severely injured in the attack. Motivated by her personal tragedy, McCarthy ran for Congress and was elected in 1996. During her tenure, she worked tirelessly to advance legislation aimed at preventing gun violence and improving mental health care. Her advocacy brought national attention to these issues and helped drive legislative efforts. McCarthy's work included efforts to renew the federal assault weapons ban, promote universal background checks, and support measures to keep firearms out of the hands of individuals with serious mental health issues. Her personal story and dedication to the cause resonated with many, making her a key figure in the movement for gun control and mental health reform. Enhancements in public transportation security. In the wake of the shooting, the Long Island Railroad and other commuter rail systems across the country implemented enhanced security measures to protect passengers. These measures included the installation of more surveillance cameras, increased police presence on trains and in stations, and improved training for conductors and staff on how to handle emergencies. The goal was to restore a sense of safety and security for the millions of commuters who relied on these transportation systems daily. Additionally, emergency response protocols were reviewed and updated to ensure a swift and effective response to any future incidents. The emphasis was on coordination between various agencies, rapid deployment of first responders, and clear communication with the public during emergencies. Long-term impact on survivors and families. The long-term impact of the shooting on survivors and their families has been profound. Many of the wounded faced lengthy recoveries, dealing with physical injuries and psychological trauma. The emotional scars left by the event have been deep and lasting, with many survivors experiencing symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD, and other mental health issues. Support networks, counseling services, and community organizations have played crucial roles in helping those affected navigate their recovery journeys. The resilience and determination of the survivors and their families have been a source of inspiration and strength as they have worked to rebuild their lives and advocate for change. Continuing the fight for change. The legacy of the 1993 LIRR shooting continues to influence efforts to address gun violence and mental health issues. Advocacy groups, lawmakers, and community leaders remain committed to implementing policies and programs that can prevent similar tragedies in the future. Education and awareness campaigns, legislative advocacy, and community engagement are all part of this ongoing effort. The shooting serves as a stark reminder of the work that remains to be done to ensure public safety, mental health, and responsible gun ownership. It underscores the importance of vigilance, preparedness, and compassionate support for those affected by violence. Conclusion: a tragic chapter in history. The 1993 Long Island Railroad shooting remains a tragic chapter in American history. The senseless violence perpetrated by Colin Ferguson left a lasting impact on the victims, their families, and the broader community. The incident highlighted critical issues related to gun control, mental health, and public safety, prompting significant policy discussions and legislative efforts. The bravery of those who intervened, the resilience of the survivors, and the advocacy of those affected by the tragedy continue to inspire efforts to prevent future acts of violence and build a safer and more compassionate society. The shooting serves as a poignant reminder of the human cost of violence and the urgent need for comprehensive reforms to prevent such tragedies in the future. It stands as a testament to the strength of the human spirit in the face of unimaginable adversity and the collective resolve to create a better, safer world for all.